Hi there, it's Tuesday the 21st of April 2020. Hope you're enjoying the nice weather, able to get some sunshine if possible. This week we're thinking about the love stories that are in the Bible and 5 love stories from the Gospels. Yesterday we were thinking about the woman who was caught in adultery and the way that Jesus showed his love to her in not condemning her right there and then, but in giving her instead an opportunity to change her life through the power of his love and forgiveness. And today we're thinking about a story in Luke's Gospel, and it's the story of Zacchaeus. Another famous story I'm sure you'll have heard many times, perhaps in Sunday school days. But just in case you haven't, here's what happened. Jesus was passing through the city of Jericho, quite a large city, and he was intending just to pass through to go somewhere else. But the crowd heard that he was coming. By this stage, he was becoming quite well known because of all the different miracles that he was doing and healing people and showing kindness and love to people. And so the crowd all pressed round him and stopped him in his tracks. And they were obviously looking for him to do some special things for them. Zacchaeus, he lived in Jericho and he heard that Jesus was coming and he wanted to see Jesus. He wanted to find out about him. Perhaps he was hoping that Jesus might have done something for him in his life. But however it was, when he came to the crowd, he couldn't see over the top of the crowd because he was just, the Bible says, a small man, a short man in stature. And so what he did was quite clever and I suppose a bit humbling, but he was quite willing to do it, and he climbed a tree, a sycamore tree it says, just beside where Jesus was, so that he could get a better view. And as he leaned out over the branches, Jesus must have looked up at him, or perhaps somebody pointed him out in the crowd, and he saw Zacchaeus. I wonder what went through his mind at that point. Zacchaeus, he was probably thinking, oh no, and rumbled. Perhaps they're going to shake the tree and cause me to fall down, or perhaps Jesus is going to make fun of me. Perhaps he'd been made fun of in his life, as sometimes people who are shorter in stature or larger than stature or taller in stature can often be. Who knows? But Jesus didn't say any of these things. In fact, Jesus loved him and his heart went out to him. And Jesus said to Zacchaeus, Zacchaeus, come down, because today I'm going to stay at your house. Zacchaeus probably couldn't believe his ears. Jesus, the most well-known person in the world at that stage, was going to come to his house for tea. The people weren't as happy as Zacchaeus. In fact, the people were very unhappy and grumbled and complained. Why did they have it in for Zacchaeus? Why did they not rejoice with Zacchaeus at his good fortune? Well, because Zacchaeus was a tax collector, and that meant he worked for the occupying force, the Roman army, the Roman Empire, and he collected taxes from the people on behalf of the Romans. And so the people would have seen Zacchaeus as a traitor, and perhaps Zacchaeus would take a little bit extra for himself. It kind of hints at that later on in the story, as maybe many of the tax collectors did in those days. So he wasn't popular. He was not loved, that's for sure. But Zacchaeus was going to have the immense privilege of Jesus Christ, the Son of God, coming to his house for tea. And Zacchaeus was so overwhelmed by this that something happened within his heart. And he gave his heart at that moment to Jesus. And we know that because of what he said. And he spoke to Jesus in the presence of all the people who could overhear what he was saying. And Zacchaeus knew that they were listening. And Zacchaeus says, Jesus, I'm going to give right now half of all of my possessions to the poor. And no doubt the crowd gasped in astonishment. And then he went on to say, not only that, but if I've cheated anybody in collecting the taxes, then I'm going to pay them back 4 times as much. The people must have been stunned, absolutely stunned. And Jesus, seeing that something had happened in Zacchaeus' heart, said to Zacchaeus, Zacchaeus, today salvation has come to you. For the Son of Man did not come to seek and save anyone but the lost. You were lost, Zacchaeus, and now you're found. Zacchaeus had found salvation through Jesus. He had found a new life through the power of Jesus' love and Jesus' forgiveness. He started off being unloved, but he found Jesus' love, and that changed his life completely. And possibly from then on, the people started to love him too. Your life can be changed too with the power of Jesus' love. Doesn't matter what you're like on the outside. Doesn't matter what you've done. It doesn't matter what people think about you. Jesus looks at your heart. And if your heart longs for a change, if it longs to know true love, then Jesus will come into your heart and he will change you with the power of his love. God bless you. Speak to you again tomorrow.